So welcome everyone. We're delighted to have you and hope that you will find this webinar valuable. Multiple people who are presenters tonight, Elaine Johnson, Carol Holtzcraft, Crystal Stebbins, and myself are AAUW California State Directors. Our incomparable office manager, Julika Barrett, is also a presenter with a lot of help from our nominations and elections chair, Janice Lee, who is not able to be here tonight. So I want to introduce the She Who Thrives Survives webinar by telling you about goals. Next slide, please. So no matter the size of your branch, we have determined that there are certain portions of your branch concerns that we have defined as characteristics, and we'll be giving you examples of things that successful branches have done. And any branch, small, medium, or large, can use these ideas to help your branch grow and develop. We're talking about small branches that are 1 to about 52 members. Medium branches we're saying are 53 to 104. And over 104, we talk about large branches. So you can kind of calibrate what size your branch is and how you might be able to best utilize these tools. Next slide, please. So we've defined success in certain ways. Every time we are asked about things that the AAUW California State Board can help you with, the topics are always leadership, membership, communications, and we have added this know your branch item. This is how you will be able to determine what are your strengths and weaknesses that your branch exhibits. And I recommend strongly that you be very transparent and truthful about what your branch is good at and what it's not good at. Next slide, please. So you know that national only requires 3 leadership positions, someone that they call an administrator or a facilitator, someone who organizes everything and has an overall view. And it doesn't just have to be one person. Some branches use a triumvirate. Some change once a quarter. Some people use co-administrators or facilitators. Any way that your branch can make this work is how your branch should do it. There's no real right or wrong way. But only one person will be able to get all the information from national. So that's the important part of it, which leads us to the next person, the treasurer or the financial officer. Usually it's wise to have one treasurer because they're the people that input all of the membership dues data and the funding that goes to funds and so forth. But you can have helpers, you can have a committee. However, again, you best want to use it. Finally, you need a secretary or a recording person. This is especially crucial if your branch is incorporated, because incorporated branches must keep their minutes forever. So we recommend that you review all the leadership materials, and there is a plethora of leadership materials on the AAUW California website. And you'll notice that website is underlined. Every time you see an underline, that provides you with a link to take you to that particular place to find the information. So nextly, we talk about meetings and how they should be planned. Membership meetings should really be planned with the convenience of the majority of members in mind. My branch, for instance, has our general membership meetings on Saturdays between 2 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If you have a lot of members who are younger and work, they can't show up during an early morning or mid-afternoon meeting. We highly recommend also that you distribute all your board reports via email prior to the meetings so that you can efficiently use that meeting time to discuss anything that needs to be discussed, to determine future events, or change anything that you want to do, or if any topics have come up that need discussion. That way, board meetings can be minimally invasive to people's time. My branch guarantees that people will have a 1 hour board meeting, and we meet on Thursday afternoons at 4. So we have had members in our branch who have been working full time who joined the board because they could go to work 1 hour earlier that day and then leave 1 hour earlier later in the day to attend the board meetings. So please keep that in mind when you're thinking about different demographics as people who would be joining your board. Next slide, please. Now I'd like to introduce Elaine Johnson, who is our Diversity and Inclusion Chair on the state board and the state director. And Elaine is going to talk about membership issues. Take it away, Elaine.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Good to be here tonight. I would like to first begin with this retention issue of our current members. And we have each of our branches has a number of members that are already committed, but we need to nurture them, connect with them, and especially during this time where we're not meeting in person, but we're using phone calls, we're using newsletters, and we're recognizing these members. The recognition piece is a very important piece. And how to do that, it depends on every branch and what each branch is able to do. But some of the successful ideas that have come from different branches around the state are providing certificates for members that have contributed to their branch, recognition in the newsletters, handwritten thank you notes, pins that recognize them, business cards for them to use when they go out into other groups, and just general emails, of course. So next slide, please. As we grow in our membership, we also collaborate with other groups. And this is an interesting piece because AAUW National has sort of pared down some of its what it's doing, what the organization is doing, and relies more on collaborating with other like-minded organizations for programs and meetings that can provide us with opportunities to meet each other and share what we do. I've got just a couple of examples here that are very interesting. One is Phase 2 Careers. Phase 2 Careers is a group, a 501c3 nonprofit group in the South Bay of San Francisco. So it's in the Bay Area, and it focuses on 40-year-old people or older who have had successful careers and now are either have been laid off or lost their jobs and are looking for new careers. And what they have done with us at AAUW is become very much interested in WorkSmart. And they already have all kinds of great programs that we can benefit from as AAUW members, but we have something to offer to them. And so we have collaborated with them. And when you go to their website, you will find our AAUW logo on their website. Likewise, there are other organizations like the League for Women Voters, Million Women Mentors. And I was surprised myself when I wore a Million Women Mentors pin that people came up to me and said, oh, I know what that is. These are business women, but they didn't know what AAUW was. So it was an introduction for me to be able to talk to them about what AAUW brings. And then, of course, we always have the opportunity to work with our nearby branches and put together programs that are very collaborative. Next slide, please. As we grow in membership, it is growth in membership in numbers. It is also growth in engagement. And part of the engagement involves interest groups. The interest groups provide a way of connecting. And here we have a few examples of hiking groups, book groups, lunch bunch groups, dining out, movie groups, great decisions or international relations groups. But every time those interest groups meet, they bring together people with ideas and thoughts about how we can increase our membership, but increase also the engagement of our members. Next slide, please.
Hang on, Elaine, I'm having a hard time. It won't, there we go.
Okay. Well, we talk about marketing, and Sharon is like the guru of marketing. So Sharon Siebert is really the superb marketer. But when we think about, I say just putting ourselves out there and letting people know who we are. We include our logo on our materials that we put out. We can wear a pin that says, ask me about AAUW. And I've done that kind of thing by going just to a school board meeting. And it's kind of, it's not really a big deal. It's just that it's giving everybody a chance to ask me if they want to. Setting up information tables at different events. And these information tables will have our materials on them, but they also provide a chance for us to talk to people. And I think that communication piece and really talking to people is essential. And we're going to be talking about that more later on during this webinar. course, we keep our social media up to date as best we can, and that we create times and events that engage our community. And that is a very critical part. It's that engagement piece. And it might be at the college, at a local college, it might be a variety of places. And at the library, for example, there might be a time where we could just say, oh, we're going to have a little meeting about what is AAUW, and put it out there to the community and invite them. Or during the Zoom time, it's been a little more challenging on that front. Next slide, please. This is my favorite part tonight because we're so excited. We've been working in the state of California to develop a diversity, equity, and inclusion kit. And we've had a wonderful, actually, a document. But now National has put together an online diversity, equity, and inclusion kit that is so amazing, with 3 parts, actually. And the 3 parts, as you go onto aauw.org, and it's very easy to, it's like right in your face. It's colorful, it's engaging, and they have the 3 parts is an overview. There is a getting started with difficult conversations, and there are key terms and concepts. And I love the key terms and concepts because they define the difference between equity and equality, for example. So as we use this toolkit, and which we will do, and we have linked from our AAUW California website, we're going to hopefully expand our outreach to a variety of ages, races, LGBTQ communities, people with disabilities, and address income and socioeconomic status. So next slide is where I'm going to turn this over to my colleague and friend, Crystal Stebbins. She is a director at the state level and branch, a co-director of branch assistance. And she comes from the
Carlsbad Oceanside Vista branch.
Yes, I'll just let you say that because it's a three-pronged branch. So Crystal, take it away.
I'm very proud to be part of the, as we call it, the COV branch, or the Carlsbad Oceanside Vista branch. You'll find out in a minute why I feel very fortunate to be part of that branch. So we just heard Elaine talk a lot about member retention and membership growth. So I'm going to take it over from here and talk a lot about membership engagement. I'm going to start out with the mission-based programs that we currently have within the organization, and kind of what that does to also help to retain our members. In cases, that's what helps us retain our members, especially for the smaller branches. The tech trek is the reason that they continue to engage the members and remain viable. Branches often hold fundraisers during which the tech trekkers return from camp and they tell about their experiences. And I know a lot of branches do that, and I feel very proud because the reason I'm part of AAUW is because my daughter in 7th grade 4 years ago won one of the scholarships to attend Tech Trek. And once I got to meet the members of the COV branch, I really felt it was an organization that I would love to be a part of. And I believed a lot in the mission of AAUW, but had never heard of the organization prior to that. So Tech Trek can leverage getting some of those parents in, like myself, into the organization that can do a lot of good for us. Speed Trek is another mission-based program that we have, but it doesn't end just there. And this is where I feel very fortunate to be part of the COV branch. Kathy Harper, who is the chair of public policy for our branch, but also one of our state directors, created a program through a state grant called GovTrek. And it was rolled out in our branch in Carlsbad, Oceanside Vista, COV. And if you want to know more about it, there's actually a link on our website, AAUW California, GovTrek, How to Rock the Next Generation, because we rock it. And basically what the GovTrek is how to get women engaged into politics. And I feel that that's an area where we can definitely thrive in with our younger generation, as we now have a female vice president, and only can go better from there. So like I stated, our branch was awarded a state grant from AAUW California for GovTrek, and it was it was designed to encourage young high school women to consider a career in politics. So definitely, if it's something that you're interested, check it out on the website. Kathy did an amazing job at setting up the webinar and rolling out the program. And not only is the webinar on there, but there's also a toolkit to also help you roll it out in your branches if it's something that you're interested in. Next slide, please. So other programs that you can also look into doing if you're not already current doing them, that are also mission-based programs, hosting a congressperson to come and discuss laws being proposed that are supported that are in line with our mission. In a lot of cases, we don't understand what's going on. I know I work full-time, I have children, so I'm not always paying attention to some of these laws that are getting ready to be passed, the different propositions. So it would definitely be nice to have somebody come in and talk to you about that, so you know that you're voting for the right person for the right reasons that align with our missions. Making sure that you're conducting a panel discussion on how to help homeless women. I volunteer at a local organization, and the reason I volunteer at that organization is because we did it at our branch as a community service event. So doing those kind of things helps to also engage the community that goes to the retention piece, but also goes to the growth piece. Holding a discussion regarding inclusion methods versus racial bias. Elaine just gave us a great presentation on that, and where you can go on our website to get that information. Host a presentation on human trafficking. The Santa Cruz branch did that, and the speaker came with personal stories. And we're going to be doing that at our branch in May. I partner with the school that I graduated from here in San Diego, Point Loma Nazarene, and they have a Center for Justice and Reconciliation that I partner with, because I went to a seminar on it, and I was very touched by what happens with women who are trafficked. And so it's something that I'm very, very passionate about on a personal level. Sponsor candidate forums, again, have them come in and talk about themselves. Work with the League of Women Voters where it exists, and we heard Elaine talk a lot about the League of Women Voters and how that works. Sponsor guest lecture series. We're going to be in April. We're going to be partnering with the Del Mar Leucadia branch to have women come and speak that are part of the military. So you don't have to do it on your own. You can also leverage other branches to do a combined branch effort for guest lectures to expand your reach. And mentoring program. I did a mentoring program a couple weeks ago. I think it was the 27th of January. So that's actually out on our website as well. There's a toolkit on how to roll that out to also engage your members, especially your younger members that are looking for some direction in their career. It's definitely something worth looking into, especially if you're trying to engage some of your younger members. And in some cases, sometimes some of your members that have been members for a while and pretty stable in their careers are looking to branch out and do something different and help out. And this is another way that you can help out in your community. Next slide, please. Membership engagement sign up form. Again, another reason why I'm very, very proud to be part of our branch. So, and we'll have a little bit more about it and what it looks like on the slide, but it's something that we do here in our COV branch. Basically, we do this, it's a form for new and existing members to complete. We typically do it towards the end of the year, so April or May. And this helps generate interest in and expectation of participation. So, talks about mission-based programs, it talks about interest groups, and it also talks about taking leadership positions within those groups. And you have options to participate at different levels. As you can see on this slide, you can see whether you'd be willing to chair the group, whether you'd be willing to serve on the committee for the group, or you don't want to be on the committee, but you want to be available for help. For example, Tech Trek. This is one where I see that we leverage a lot of all three of those. So we do have somebody who chairs the group. I wanted to be on the committee because Tech Trek was the reason why I joined AAUW, and I firmly believe in the Tech Trek program. So I sit on the committee, and we have people like me who work. So I send out all the emails to the teachers, but I don't have time, and I can't necessarily step away from work during the day to do the interviews. So this is where the people who don't necessarily want to be on the committee come into play, where we can call on those people and they'll go to the schools and do the interviews for the students, or they'll do it via Zoom now. But prior to COVID, we would actually go to the schools or meet at an offsite location, such as a library, to do the interviews with the girls. And the other thing is too, even if you can't get somebody to, participate in those, you still have the interest groups to still draw them in and still make them feel like they're part of the branch, part of the organization. So even if they participate, even just the interest groups to start out with, it at least gets them in and makes them feel like they're part of the organization. And I sit I'm the chair of the Happy Hikers because I love to hike. So I love to get like-minded people together. And I know that we have a very, very strong following for our interest groups in our branch. And it's really great to see all these people getting in and talking and doing all that. So that's a member to participation sign-up form that we use, and it works very, very well for us. So it's something that you could definitely look at leveraging in your own branch. And at this point, this ends my section of the presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to Carol Holtzcraft, who is also my co-chair for branch assistance. She is also a director for the California State Board as well.
Hello. You can have the most terrific programs and member engagement, but if nobody knows about them, your efforts will be in vain. AUW's traditional method for communicating is, of course, the newsletter, but does yours need a refresh? When you publicize a meeting, do people come? Newsletters make members feel included, supported, and useful. We use them to reach out to the community and to prospective members. But be sure to target your message to your audience. Will it attract a potential member? What are they looking for? What are your members looking for? If you can't manage an artistic newsletter, that is okay. Just type it out, email it, or snail mail it to your members. But do add something new to it from time to time. And we'll tell you how to find those things in a minute. Next slide, please. This slide offers just a few examples of effective newsletters from all over the state. They're ones I enjoy reading, and that's another clue to success. They can be fun to read. Another hint, borrow. I'm sure they won't mind. You'll find ideas for meetings and programs, interest groups, clever names like Wine, Dine, and Crime, Happy Hikers, or Hikers and Bikers. You can even add member and community news. I mean, why not? However you manage your newsletter, do add something new to it from time to time. Keep it fresh. The links on these newsletters are because they have an underline, as Sharon mentioned. They'll be available. You can check on them anytime. I think these slides will be on the website in a day or two. So you can go there and take a look at all of these things. These are some of my very favorite newsletters, small, medium, and large. North Tahoe is a small branch that does wonders with its newsletter. Of course, if you live in Tahoe, you can have a particularly exciting picture on your masthead, plus really unique activities. You can add a poem, add artwork by a member, review a recent speaker. The medium branch, Alhambra San Gabriel, their mission gateway, uses AUW provided graphics and some of their own. They add games. In February, they had a game about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I mean, how cool is that? They do book reviews. Mariposa's Sierra Outpost has a banner at the bottom of each page, which is memorable. We open eyes. We value education. We inspire lifelong learning and more. And these are the answers to that question. What is AUW? Chico's Grapevine adds a bio of a longtime member or a new member. I mean, who doesn't want to know about people's backgrounds? Marysville, the Marysville Yuba City Feather Vane is also another one to borrow from. San Jose is a very large branch. It's the largest in the state. Its bonfire reflects the branch's serious involvement in public policy and much, much more. And Beach Cities down near LA, their branch newsletter is called Branch Newsletter. Keep it simple. Its lesson is to play up what they do best, what people will be drawn to. They use a lot of white space, colors, and graphics. Next slide, please. So let's talk about social media. This is how the 21st century communicates. But it only takes one of your members or a willing member relative to make these work for you. But they have to be kept up to date, as Elaine said, or they become practically useless. Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page? Do you use Instagram or Twitter? I mean, congratulations. If you don't, give them a try. You'll be pleased with the results. I mean, they work. As an example, do you interact with friends and grandchildren on Facebook? It's different from phone calls and letters, but it's even more fun. It really can be. Are you afraid to try? AAUW California can help. If you don't have a website, and I hope that you think about getting one, AAUW National will help you develop your own. Check any branch website with a green stripe and you'll see the many ways that the national format can be made personal to your own branch's use. Also, and this is critical, write this down, do check out AAUW California's site resources link. They offer help you can't even imagine. Really, they do. Our web team has the most amazing skills to help your branch take advantage of all of these tools, and they'll keep it from being scary. Online conferencing is, of course, Zoom. Don't be afraid of it because it can bring your branch members together this time of distancing. You can hear from speakers from anywhere without paying transportation costs. I mean, think about that. Do try it. Again, our web team is here to help you. And with Zoom, practice makes perfect. And practice and practice. Next slide, please. Okay, websites. Your website is the branch's face in the community. Make it informative and effective. Here in the sidebar are some really good ones. They're links, of course, so you can check them out later. They're from different size branches, and you can learn from each one of them. Borrow one or two things from each site, just dabble around in them. The North Peninsula is a tiny branch south of San Francisco that uses National's format. It includes branch links, AAUW links, WorkSmart, branch history, plus photos and current branch news. It's simple, but effective. Lodi is a medium-sized branch in the Central Valley, one with many, 86, I think, wineries, so it's worth a trip. Their website has an unusual but gorgeous format with everything that you will need to know. Click on the link and see for yourself. Morgan Hill is a large branch south of San Jose with a powerhouse of younger technical members. It's Silicon Valley after all. It would be hard to find any part of the AUW experience that this website does not cover. However, many entries can be used by any branch. Check it out, borrow what you like. It's as good as watching Netflix. Adding pictures of people and events, of course, just increases the appeal of your website. Be creative, play around, don't be afraid. And just for fun, spend a few minutes typing AAUW CA plus branch name or a city name into your Google or search box and see what comes up. You can look at their websites, you can look at their newsletters. You'd be amazed how many different kinds of these communicative activities we have available to us. It's a pleasant way to spend a few minutes of your cooped up time, and you'll learn things. So next slide, please. Many branches only publish their newsletters a few times a year, filling in the gap with more frequent and quicker to prepare weekly email and e-blasts. You can click on that link under Morgan Hill to see an example of quite an effective e-blast. These are easier for branch members to keep track of too, since they only cover what's happening in the upcoming week. They use the newsletter and website for fuller, less time-sensitive messages and information. Morgan Hill operates this week. Their weekly e-blast, released on Sundays, gives members news and resources for the coming week. A site called MailChimp makes distribution easy. Again, AAUW's site resources can help you figure this out. AAUW-ca.org. It should be tattooed on all of our wrists. And don't overlook phone trees. If your members are more comfortable with them, use them. The old-fashioned ways are still good. Now, about Zooming again. This is better than having no meetings and no connections with your members. So try it. Check the newsletters and websites that we reviewed earlier for ideas to spiff up your potential Zoom meetings. Would you like to have a trivia night? Is it possible to play bridge on Zoom? Indeed it is. In fact, yesterday, I just heard about a site that will help you for free, I think, set up bridge games with your current bridge people. It's called Trickster Cards. And I believe, as I said, it's free. Also, I live 4.5 hours away from one of my branches. And through Zoom, I've been able to attend book meetings and other meetings that they have. And for the first time, and normally I have to drive there, which is fun, but you know, it's 4.5 hours one way. Last night, I was able to watch their speech track trials, and it was a pleasure. It was the first time I've ever seen that, and it was just a delight. You can find everything you want to know about Zoom, but we're afraid to ask at aauw-ca.org. And click on these, see the links at the bottom, basic Zoom and advanced Zoom. That's the undergraduate and the graduate Zoom things. And they will help you figure this out for yourself. And you'll be on your way. Next slide, please. Okay. Wait, where did we go? 21. This slide is about the outreach to your community. Learn how other organizations publicize their meetings and projects. What catches your eye in the local press or the local news? Put yourself in their shoes. What would a targeted potential member find appealing in your message? The primary way to reach out is by sending a press release to newspapers, radio stations, local magazines, online calendars, Craigslist even. Today's online resources are endless. You just have to track them down in your community. And you do this by asking around, keeping your eyes and ears open. Be absolutely sure to include the 6 do's. What, when, where, who, why, and your contact information. I cannot stress this enough. Every one of those things is critical. Newsroom staff really enjoys hearing about press releases that come forgetting to give a contact or mention the date of the event. Let them have their fun some other way. Here's another way to improve your message's chance of publication. Write a short article about the event to send with your press release. This won't necessarily work in the larger outlets, but smaller local ones will be grateful. Copy their style so they have less to do to prepare it for publication. And again, don't forget the contact information. If they can't contact you for something that they need for a question, they're not going to publish. We've included a sample press release in the appendix so you can see what I'm talking about. And it has a short article attached. It's from one of my very favorite fundraisers. So now I have the honor of passing the baton off to Julika Barrett, our absolutely fabulous office manager and so much more, who will introduce SWOT. What is that? Well, stay tuned.
Thank you, Carol. You've heard a lot of really great ideas on how to help your branch to grow, develop, and thrive. So what do you do next? Well, one of the things you can do is you can take a really good look at your branch. What does it have to offer? Where can you improve? Basically, where are you now and where do you want to get to? There is a method to help you to do just that, and it's called the SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The advantage of using this kind of method is that it's a flexible process. It's easily adapted to a variety of needs. It's done in a group setting, so therefore it's collaborative and it invites diverse points of view. It's relatively simple to implement, or you can make it as complex as you'd like by expanding the number of objectives that you're trying to reach, expanding the size of the group. Another advantage of the SWOT analysis is that it is a proven method for solving problems. So there are many different types of organizations who have used this for project planning, developing marketing plans, even for career development. We have a short video that we're going to show you, which will give you kind of a high-level view of a SWOT analysis. The context for the video is a business environment, but it can be used in a number of different kinds of settings. After the video, what I'm going to do is walk you through applying this method to a typical branch, an average branch, and you'll see what the results can be, what you're possibly able to accomplish. So let's take a look at the video.
Julika, I'm going to start the video. I need your feedback to tell me whether it's playing correctly or not. I have a limited bandwidth. If
Sure.
it's not, if it doesn't work, then Tracy's going to launch it. So here we go.
Okay, sounds good.
Hi. I am going to explain how to conduct a SWOT analysis step by step. SWOT analysis is a key tool to develop a strategic plan. SWOT is the acronyms for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Normally, strengths and weaknesses are labeled as internal factors. Opportunities and threats are labeled as external factors. The shape I love the most, for the SWOT diagram, is made by 4 blocks with the title inside each of them. By a SWOT analysis, the team can decide if it is time to start a project by visualizing the pros and cons. Then, can be used for explore new solutions to problems, align the team to the most effective solution, enable a structured brainstorming. The step number 1 is to set a meeting with the team, with a clear description of the project you want to evaluate. The step number 2 is to take a big piece of paper and draw 4 blocks with the titles inside. The step number 3 is to fill the square of the strengths. Ask the team the right questions as, what do we do at an extraordinary level? What valuable assets do we have? What we and our customer identify as our main strengths. The step number 4 is to fill the square of the weaknesses. Ask the team the questions as, what we could do better? What could cause us problems? What are the last complaints we received? Remember in this step to be transparent and candid. Taiichi Ono used to say, To have no problems is the biggest problem at all. The step number 5 is focused on opportunities. Here the questions are, what opportunities we know we can catch? There are some trends we are ready to get. The step number 6 is focused on threats. Ask the team the questions as, what could block our progress? Are our weaknesses potentially critical? Are economic conditions affecting our financial viability? Remember the step 1 of the clear objective. What is a strength for a project could be a weakness for another. So, be accurate and not too generic. On the other side, remember the problems can easily become an opportunity. What is next? At the end of the SWOT analysis, an action plan is more than welcome and a follow-up is to be set by the manager. I suggest having the SWOT analysis on the paper, always visible to the team, to be discussed and revised. Conclusion. The SWOT analysis is a collaborative tool that has to be used regularly to evaluate the pros and cons of starting a project. It is a tool to be used in a team, and it helps to be aligned to a common vision. SWOT analysis is a key tool to develop a business strategy. If you want one PDF with all the videos I suggest on SWOT analysis, just click the link below. If you loved this video, please share, like or subscribe. Thank you for watching it.
Thank you, Sandy.
So I'm taking it worked. Okay.
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing because I need to change it so that you can see it again. So tell me if you can read this.
Okay, that's Carol's, and then we need to go to the next slide or two.
Yeah. Is it clear?
Yes, that's where we are now.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep. Looks good. So as you saw from the video, the SWOT analysis begins with this grid of 4 focus areas. The internal factors are those that are within your branch. These are your strengths and your weaknesses. The external factors are outside your branch, within your community possibly, that offer opportunities, but also could present threats to your success. So we talked about, I mentioned that we were going to apply this to a sample branch. We're calling this branch the XYZ branch. And their objective is to evaluate a couple of programs that they've thought about that they really have considered implementing in the coming year. So they want to do a SWOT analysis to help their planning. And to begin with, what they did was they prepared a concise statement of their objectives, what they wanted to accomplish, identified members of their focus group, not just members within their branch, but also brought people in from outside the branch, people that they've made contact with in the community, from a local school, from local government, even from a business. And what this does is it provides fresh eyes, somebody outside the branch that can give objective ideas and opinions. They had a lively discussion, entered a lot of ideas and issues into each one of these focus areas, and then came up with this exhaustive list of items that they want to talk about. So through consensus, though, they went ahead and they pared down that big extensive list down to the top 3 to 5 most relevant ones. And from this list that you see now, they're going to have their discussion. But first, let's take a look at each of the factors, the internal and then the external. So next slide. Looking at their internal factors, what were their strengths? They really had a very strong leadership team that communicated very effectively and also were excited about new projects. They are very active in Tech Trek and in Speech Trek, but on the other side of things, they have a small membership, less than 50 members. Their membership is getting older, and for this, what this means to the branch is that their members are retiring. Some of them are moving out of the area, and others are just changing their lifestyle, deciding that they're going to scale down. Maybe they aren't as active anymore. They also are weak in their technology skills, and this has really presented problems for this branch because they're not as effective in communication, and they're not as efficient in terms of how they manage some of their their branch operations. Next slide. External factors, what they found is that their involvement in Tech Trek and Speech Trek, plus one or two other projects that they've implemented, has helped them to become more engaged with the community. With that, they increased their awareness, the awareness of the community of what they have to offer. And it's helped them to make contacts, contacts that have potential if they decide that they want to explore that and build those contacts and make them stronger. Threat-wise, there are a lot of other organizations out there that are better funded, have better visibility, definitely use technology more effectively than they do. There's also some COVID-19 related challenges. Some of the members are not real keen on getting back together in face-to-face meetings. Also, the businesses that they've relied on for hosting their events or hosting their meetings are not coming back as quickly as they'd like. And some of them may even go out of business. So there goes some of the funding, some of the support financially that some of the businesses might have given them. They also happen to be in one of those areas that is prone to wildfires and floods. And it's always something that they have to consider in their planning. Next slide. So now they're ready to have this robust discussion based upon all that they have seen with their branch in terms of the 4 focus areas. They decide that one of their best opportunities is to work on relationships that they've already built within the community, get to know these people even better, look at the leaders and the influencers within the community to help launch their next project. The other thing is they want to do a bigger job of communicating outward where they can get maybe greater visibility. And they decided to reach a bigger audience using a press release, followed up by interviews and opportunities to speak to businesses, maybe even to the local schools about what they're proposing. Next slide. Continuing their discussion and looking at their threats, these other organizations, actually, those other organizations could be great opportunities for them as well. Some of these other organizations have similar goals. They are ripe for collaborating, maybe even engage in a one-time co-sponsored event. The advantages to the branch is that they can observe and model some of the techniques that these other branches, that these other businesses do, because they're more successful and there's things that can be learned. They can also extend an invitation out to the members of these other organizations, invite them to some of their branch activities, get to know them and have them get to know members. And you never know, there could be some members that will join as a result of that. But in any event, it's a great learning opportunity for the branch. Next slide. So we have this particular branch, the XYZ branch, has a lot more communicating and discussing to do, coming up with their actual action plans. So we've just sort of given you a high-level perspective, just the tip of the iceberg. We wanted to leave you with some additional resources. We have the link to the video so that you can play it at your branch meetings. We also put together a SWOT analysis reference guide for branches and an action plan template. Next slide. The SWOT analysis reference guide provides step-by-step procedures to try this deep dive into looking at your branch objectively. So it'll help you to set up your objectives, choose your participants, develop an agenda, and facilitate your meeting. With that discussion, you'll come up with a lot of ideas, you'll decide on a strategy, and then you need to put it into an action plan. Next slide. Here's an example of an action plan template that will give you a framework for some of your ideas as you launch the results of your SWOT analysis. It'll help you to move forward. So we would really like for you to try the SWOT analysis. You never know what you're going to be able to pull from it, and hopefully it'll really help you to develop some very vibrant energetic action plans. And all of these resources are on the website. So at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting back over to Sharon Siebert, who will bring the webinar to a close.
So I want to show you all what I'm holding up. This is the phraseology that Diane Owens, who is the AAUW California president, has taken as our motto this year. Next slide, please. So I was asked how this came up. So Diane has suggested we should be bold. You know, we should not always do what we've done in exactly the same way we've done it in the past. Don't be afraid to try something new. After all, we've learned to Zoom during this COVID thing, and this was all pretty new to all of us, I would think. Next slide, please. So we're suggesting that we be brave. We need to be honest and transparent about what our strengths and weaknesses are, what we could use help with, where to reach out. And the next slide, please. We're all really smart women, and so we're asking you to be brilliant, to create new plans, think about new ways to do things, think about what we've told you in this seminar, and hopefully we've given you some tools that you'll be able to use to help your branch in whatever it needs to be helped with. And remember, the AAUW California Board, our mission is to support the branches. So please feel free to reach out to us. Next slide, please. With all the resources that we have available to you, we come from all over the state. We are committed to this organization, which is why we do all the work that we do, and we do hours and hours of work that you don't see. It's all behind the scenes. You have, some of you belong to branches that belong to IBCs. IBCs are not every branch has an IBC, but there are either IBCs or districts, and you have district liaisons and IBC chairs that can be asked for help. And the directory for all the state information and all the leaders in these various positions is available through the state website. The branch administration group has come up with this very clever new gimmick, the Ask Us First position on the state website. And that will be then put out to whoever is best able to answer the question. And maybe sometimes multiple people will be able to answer the questions that you have. We hope that all of this has been helpful, and I know there have been several questions that have been asked that I made notes of that weren't necessarily answered during the course of this. So may I answer those now?
Hi, Sharon. We're going to turn, if everybody, those presenters could turn their videos on. And I think there are just a couple of questions in the Q&A, and Tracy is going to present those. So go ahead.
Okay, good. Great. Thank you, Tracy.
Okay. One of the questions was partially answered, but what we wonder if you have other input. Says, what are our options if our branch does not have anyone willing to take over the treasurer position, which is so important to the branch?
Well, you know, as we discussed, you don't necessarily have to have just one person do this. It does not take a CPA to be the treasurer. It takes somebody who is organized, and maybe you might need to have two people or a committee help you. I don't know. Do any of you other presenters have ideas on this topic?
I do. This is Elaine.
Okay, Elaine.
I think that you're absolutely right, Sharon. We have had in my branch a treasurer. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
believes that she has to have control over everything. But you're laughing, Sharon.
I'm sure we've all been there.
But it's like she needs to get the mail, get every person all of their checks in for their membership, every single piece. And I've been sort of contemplating this with the possibility of having several people, like somebody who could pick up the mail, for goodness sake, that's not a big deal. And just share the responsibility a little bit. And the main thing, I guess, what I'm most interested in is the timeline. What is the bottom line timeline for the treasurer to get reports in? And Julika, you probably have that information. Other people probably have that information. But I think that from the point of view of putting together, and I'm also looking at putting together this description of what the treasurer does. And I have an example of that, but I think that what I'm being asked for is that somebody wants to have a sample of what this position includes.
And may I also mention that our state chief financial officer, Raleigh Wendorf, did a big, long financial webinar on exactly what the financial officer has to do. And these past webinars are linked on our state website.
Absolutely.
So if you have other ideas.
Sharon, I just wanted to mention that on the top of the website under branches, there's a section on finance, and it has a timeline of financial deadlines that should help a treasurer understand when things are due. So that's available on the website already.
And maybe somebody would be willing to do the membership piece, and somebody else might be willing to do the tax reporting piece. And, or I mean, my branch has used a committee at times when we have had to have the main crush of membership dues reported. So does that answer your question, I hope?
I think it does. The other question I have here is kind of general. It's how does this information relate to IBCs and college branches? And I'm not sure if she was asking regarding the membership information or others.
So Carol and Crystal, do you want to weigh in on that?
Well, for IBCs, I mean, IBC's health relies on the health of their branches. So I think it would, filter up. But as far as the colleges and universities, maybe Crystal can answer that.
Let's see, the perfect person to ask to answer the question is Donna Lilly. Yeah. So she's done an amazing amount of research. She's reached out to every single branch in California and has generated so much data, it would blow your mind. So Donna Lilly would be the perfect person to ask that question to. And that's something that we can definitely, you and I, Carol, can maybe reach out to her and maybe put a blurb out there for Ask Us First, and maybe we can throw that out there on the website. But I think that's definitely a question we need to ask Donna about.
And FYI, Donna was actually on the national level in the college-university partnership several years ago. She's also a past AAUW California president. So she's got a wealth of knowledge, and she's really committed to the college-university partnership situation.
Absolutely, but I totally agree.
You do need to be aware that IBCs are not actually affiliates. It's kind of an artificial organizational structure that we in California use. And it's was primarily set up to work on public policy in a regional way. But people who are chairing IBCs or people who go to IBC meetings are leaders from more than one branch. So that should be a terrific resource for you. And I hope that answers that question also.
Could I interject on that, Sharon, that we are a state that is larger than any other state in the United States. I mean, what we're looking at here, when we're looking at these issues, we're looking at huge numbers of branches. And I've encountered this with the diversity, equity, and inclusion group nationally that I'm a part of. And I realized that I've included three other people in the state of California to be a part of that group, because this is crazy. I mean, we're such a large state. We have to recognize that our state is huge and has so many branches and such a diverse group of branches, the small, medium, large. We've talked about that, but anyway, I won't go on and on that, but I have a great commitment to working with a variety of branches in the state of California.
Sharon, I think that's the last question that we have in the Q&A.
Okay.
And
I did want to bring up, if you will, Sandy, that we put it in the chat on where you should send your newsletters or copy of a newsletter with your branch to AEW California, and the email address is branchNewsletters@aew-ca.org, and that will let other branches see what your branch is doing. So it's we can put it in the chat again in case you want to write that down. And I just wanted to bring that up one more time.
And we want to remind you to have your branch newsletter, or your IBC, if it has a newsletter, send that to that website, because we at the state level, the directors, get all those newsletters, and we do look at them and see how branches are doing. We have 100 and almost 20 branches around the state. So that's what I mean when I say we're doing a lot of work for you behind the scenes. And we really appreciate the web team organizing these webinars. They have been remarkable. We couldn't pay them enough for what they do.
Yes, you could double our salary.
Yes, and 2 times 0 is still 0.
So I also wanted to say on that note, if you're interested in seeing what other branches are doing and receiving those newsletters, send an email to webteam@aauw-ca.org and let us know that, and we'll put you on the list. You'll get a digest of links to newsletters that have been submitted within the last 24 to 48 hours or so, and then you can take a look at the ones that you're interested in.
And there was a question about whether national charges for websites, and Tracy answered that in the sense that they will help you set up your website at no charge.
Correct.
And there's a minimal charge if you want them to maintain it. I think it's $120 a month, a year. Yeah. And my branch paid way more than that to have somebody's son do it. Yeah. So just FYI.
And you can maintain it yourself without a cost. And there are some relatively good materials, both on our website and on the national site to do that. I also wanted to mention that a recording of this presentation will be available in the next 48 hours on the website. And we'll leave the link to this session up on the homepage for a couple of days, but you can always find it at the very top menu bar where it says 2020-2021 webinars. If you click on that, all of the webinars that have been held this year and the upcoming ones are listed there. And if you click on the title, you can go to the page that has all the presentation materials, the recording, etc. for each of those webinars. And I want to thank Sharon. You guys did a fantastic job. So I want to thank you. You guys really practiced and gave us a lot of information. So thank you very much.
Thanks to all the presenters. Everybody did a fabulous job. Thank you all for working so hard.
Yeah.
Fun.
Okay.